Hello out there, people. Nick Cicada here with yet another nifty video coming to you hot and ready here from Nicholas Studios. I just figured I'd give you sort of a perspective shift update on how my perspective has changed. Now, if you didn't know, last year I said I might quit posting on YouTube altogether because they added in this thing where people who create videos on YouTube could basically type in what's popular right now, and it just spit out some AI results. And people who wanted a ton of views and a ton of likes, obviously, would just go for the easiest possible topic and just make a video about that. Like you type in what's popular right now, it'd go the new Dune movie or whatever. And people just make videos about that. No one would make a video about anything interesting. There'd be no innovation, and it would just be this perpetual race to the bottom. Now, I'm convinced that that probably won't happen, and I was being a little too much doom and gloom there because I haven't really noticed a perceptible shift in the quality of YouTube content, at least not really. I mean, maybe it's just that the algorithm doesn't recommend a bunch of AI slop to me, but I don't know, I don't really see it, and I'm going to keep posting on here just because I really have nothing better to do with my time, which is sad to admit, but I like making videos, and if I can make videos that are better than the AI shit, then that's fine by me. And I'm never going to be paid by YouTube or anything, so it's not like I'm being paid to post on here. I do it just because I like making videos. Probably a little too much. It's probably unhealthy to create as much video content as I do, but what would you rather watch? Some AI shit or me? I'm not AI. Hi there. You can choose to watch the crap, but I do think ultimately the internet is going to be used a lot less in the future. All these people who claim that digital technology is going to be the future, oh, the internet is so great, people are just going to stop using the internet the more and more AI shit is posted on it, because no one wants to have to deal with this kind of crap. No one actually likes it, and Silicon Valley's dreams are going to be dashed pretty soon. You're going to have to cope with a pretty hard reality check. So, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting. And I'm honestly happy to be living through such interesting and compelling times where something interesting like this happens. But as an artist, I do have a personal stake in all this. And I can't say that I've ever really cared about the far-reaching tendrils of systemic capitalism before. But given that AI art is just a slimy, disgusting, parasitic tendril of exploitative capitalism, I do really feel like I have a say in the matter. And I am, hopefully a voice that is taken seriously in these times, and I think that's important. It's very important to be like that. Maybe it's just the paradigm shift, maybe it's just that I'm tired of all of it, or maybe, and this is the good news, is I don't think AI is being taken seriously anymore, at least not as much as it was last summer, around July 2024. It's definitely not being taken with as much vigor and excitement as it was. People are kind of starting to get sick of it, and they're starting to recognize that there are very obvious limitations to the technology, which I've already known. I've known that since this shit's inception. I've known that obviously it can't do what the human mind is capable of. It's just pathetic. It's a pathetic waste of time, and again, an outgrowth of exploitative capitalism. The only reason someone would use an AI art tool is if they don't want to pay a living, breathing human artist. And that's pathetic. And not paying artists is pathetic behavior, and we should call that out more. We should appreciate and compensate human labor whenever possible. That's just the ethical thing to do. And I'm amazed at how many people have really shown their true colors against artists these past couple of years when given the option to churn out AI garbage, and just the disregard they have for human well-being and human life. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch play out just how sociopathic people can be towards artists. because they don't possess artistic skills themselves. It's really interesting how deranged people will get just because I'm a better artist than them, and I know it, and I'm proud of that, and I insist upon being, fairly compensated for my labor. Not that I have to be compensated for my labor. I don't expect to become like a millionaire off the art I make, but, I do expect to be paid instead of a fucking robot, because I can do better than a fucking robot can, and I need to eat, and the robot doesn't need to eat. And as for the Silicon Valley researchers who developed the robot, your robot's fucking useless. Go develop something useful, like a fork or something, then maybe we can talk. Fucking scientist bozos. Anyway, my point being, if you know artists, pay them, buy their work, support them, and if they use AI, then they're worthless. So, don't give them any support, don't pay for their shit, because it didn't take any work to create. They just typed words into a box, and they're not doing any work, they're not performing any labor. And they're part of a capitalist techno-cult that is ultimately destined to fail. It's not going to succeed, there's no way it's going to succeed. It legitimately just can't stack up to the sheer output and fantastic innovation of the human mind. It's not going to happen. One thing that induced this perspective shift was two channels I watch regularly who put out pretty good content here on YouTube. And it's not like AI content or anything. There's literally nothing AI about their videos. They're very well researched, well scripted. I mean, they have great topics, very incisive commentary, and it clearly takes a lot of thought. They came out as pro-AI. And I thought, why would these video creators who make decent content without AI, like I can tell it's obviously not AI, it's very well researched, all the facts are correct, and like it's very niche topics that AI wouldn't even consider. Why would these people be in favor of artificial intelligence? And what I ultimately came up with is, both these channels are run by autistic people. Maybe it's just that autistic people generally are more gullible when it comes to marketing. So if a Silicon Valley tech firm puts out a big hype piece on their new AI, like, this AI is changing the game, it's the new future, wow, the future's here, and the future has to be exactly how we say the future is going to be, because we're Silicon Valley tech bros and we have millions of dollars, and we think that enables us to dictate what the future is going to be to you instead of allowing you to decide your own future and your own path forward. We're going to decide what your future is for you. I feel like some autistic people just hear that and go, oh, it must be true, because one symptom of autism, and this is the case for me too, is it's easy to trick us into buying into some bullshit. And it's not as easy for me. I've cultivated what I think is a healthy skepticism over the years. And I'm suspicious of a lot of shit, but I guess some people are just kind of swindled into it. But I realized that is an issue among autistic people. Autistic people are susceptible and vulnerable to AI art. So if you know an autistic person, or anyone in a vulnerable, susceptible minority group who might want to express themselves or their perspective on the world, encourage them to pick up a fucking paintbrush or go into a word processor and, give a shit and tell their story in a way that's organic and meaningful to them. Because ultimately that'll make them feel better, and it will have so much meaningful and resonant impact in the world than if they just go into some text box and type up some shit. It's extremely ableist. I don't usually even use that term, because I don't use terms like problematic either or whatever, but it is very ableist to insinuate by any means that an autistic person, someone with Down syndrome, even schizophrenic, can't create a meaningful piece of art. I've seen a schizophrenic make fantastic art that's way better than anything that, normal Joe Blow can make, because the mind is active there. Most schizophrenics should be artists, but it's a serious waste to just have them type in shit onto an AI text prompt. That's embarrassing. And one of these videos that was by an autistic person was like, oh, I'm pro-AI art because I want to be part of the next, the future, and I'll be so proud of what I've contributed to the AI learning model I can say, wow, that was me, that was my creation there as part of the AI learning model. And it's like, it's not a communist project, it's literally a capitalist project that's going to die out once people realize how useless it is. So you're not going to be remembered in the future if you contribute to a generative AI model. You're going to be a public embarrassment, a sort of laughingstock. If the Dune future comes true, for instance, if we have our Butlerian jihad, you're not going to be remembered as this bold trendsetter, because in the Dune universe, the mind is valued, so you'll be remembered as the backwards troglodyte who supported the machines. But people generally lack the imagination that, like Frank Herbert would have, to envision a future that doesn't necessarily have digital technology, that might have like bioorganic technology or some other alternative. Most people aren't science fiction writers. You have to have a great deal of imagination and foresight to be a really good science fiction writer, because your fiction has to reflect the real world in interesting ways while simultaneously opening up new perspectives and ideas that wouldn't be accessible if you weren't creating fiction and were only adhering to the standards and norms of the real world. The point being is that capitalism and art, and again, I don't consider myself a communist or anything, but this is basic common sense. You cannot be a leftist and support AI art. That is complete fucking nonsense. AI art is an outgrowth of capitalism that seeks to commodify art to the lowest common denominator, and there is nothing revolutionary or innovative about AI art. One of these channels I watch said that AI art is some of the only innovative art being made today, and that's just fake. To anyone who's been to an art gallery or actually interacts with their local artistic ecosystem. I see plenty of innovative art that really gives a shit, and people who really give a shit about what they make and what they have to say. Just that it's not economically incentivized, so very few people ever see it unless they actively seek it out. Because art, for whatever reason, and this has been the case throughout most of history, sadly enough, is not considered valuable. And that's fucking pathetic. And there's no reason why you as a leftist should perpetuate the devaluation of art. Just because you feel like artists are somewhat pretentious or higher than you or think too great of themselves or whatever. Maybe we do. I think that I'm an extremely creative and talented person, and I can create a great deal of difference in the world if afforded certain opportunities. And there's nothing wrong with that. Would I call myself an artistic elitist? Yeah, maybe. At least I'm not a fucking scientific elitist. There are lots of scientists I've noticed who work for the science industrial complex and have big college degrees, always show these off at every conceivable opportunity, make their college degree a part of their fucking identity. Like, at least I just pick up a fucking paintbrush and have fun. My life's a lot more fun than the average scientist, and I'm not building, fucking war machinery for Lockheed Martin, so my conscience is a lot clearer. Am I as pretentious as a scientist? Yeah, maybe. But scientists aren't reprimanded when they're pretentious or full of themselves or talk about themselves like they're hot shit. We artists are, because we're capable of coming up with new ideas, which scientists really can't, because science is just the study of reality in objective terms, and that's pretty fucking boring compared to what you can do in science fiction or fantasy. You can make all kinds of wacky magic that could never exist in the real world, and that's a lot of fun. And you don't have to adhere to the limitations of the real world, the laws of physics or anything. All the boundary that you face is your fucking mind. So it's a real challenge, and some people just aren't fit to meet that challenge, I suppose. But there's nothing wrong with me admitting that I'm good at art, and I'm better than a fucking computer at it. And scientists who invent AI robots to do my job for me aren't going to be able to do it as well. It's just not going to happen. Sorry, fuckaroos. You lose out on this one, and you're not going to be remembered as innovators of anything, except hot shit. So, I might be coming off a little bit strong here, and I fully understand that. But what I've realized these past couple months is I don't need to be scared by AI art, because my work has never been profitable. I've never wanted to work in the industry per se. I want to remain as independent as possible. In 7th grade, I had this class called Exploratory Arts. No, it was 6th grade. And it was taught by this dumbass who was like, Nick, you should work for Pixar. You can work for Pixar. And I was like, I don't want to work for fucking Pixar. They make movies about fish. I can do better than that. And even then, I had real high aspirations for myself. And my teacher was a total dumbass, just a corporate shill. And I could tell that about her. She wasn't really the creative type. I've never wanted to operate on behalf of the industry. I'm a mail-order cartoonist in the 21st century, so I don't really care about what's profitable, and even if some shitty AI model is able to churn out 500 craptastic pieces of feces within an hour, you know, they can't do this, for instance. This here is Ludicrous Worlds magazine. It's my regularly published pulp sci-fi magazine in the tradition of Weird Tales or Fantastic Journeys or whatever, and it's a lot of fun. This actually creates a difference in the local community. This actually incentivizes artists and writers to get their work out. I curate it, and you know, an AI model can't do this. An AI model can't put all this together. And I know there's people who say it's going to get better and better. No, the money will run out, the research will run out, and people will forget about it. People are already forgetting about it. People are getting fucking tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. I mean, I'm past getting tired of it. I'm admitting that it's fully losing steam at this point. Ludicrous Worlds is a fun project that I've been on. I think it's very important to assert myself as a science fiction author, even if this isn't an economically incentivized activity here in the 21st century. Yeah, I'm not just going to play fucking video games or whatever. I'm going to write, because writing's what I do. It's a biological defense that keeps me mentally healthy. It's a necessary behavior that I have to do, whether I get paid for it or not. So I don't really care if I get paid, so the economic argument of, oh, AI will pay more, whatever the fuck, I don't care. I have to write, I have to draw, I have to do this shit. And then I'll just die. These stories and work is going to be my legacy. It's going to outlive me. I guarantee anyone who currently uses AI or thinks that AI is going to be the next hot ticket, it's not going to be. You won't be remembered. I'm going to be remembered as the fucking Jack Vance of my generation, maybe the Larry Niven even, and you're going to be remembered as a footnote in something that had no potential from the outset and was a public embarrassment, a gawkish spectacle. That's not really something to be proud of. It's just sad. And by creating art with artificial intelligence, you're not creating art, you're not creating jack shit. You are admitting that you are illiterate and stupid, and that's sad and embarrassing, but I guess some science-minded people legitimately lack an imagination, or creativity, or problem-solving skills, basic problem-solving skills. And that's too bad, because they can be very useful. For instance, I think the reason that science fiction isn't economically incentivized under capitalism is because it poses a legitimate threat to capitalism. Like, for instance, if there was an alternate history story where the Soviet Union still existed and didn't dissolve in 1991, maybe in that science fiction story it could be posited that the Soviet Union is a pretty cool country with neat systems, and maybe it's better than the US. But we don't want to imagine potential timelines like that because they present an alternative to the world we're currently in. And capitalism doesn't want that. It doesn't want anyone to imagine a better, more optimistic, brighter world, potentially. That's why dystopian fiction is so popular. I've always said utopian fiction is more interesting because it's actually challenging to envision a great society than a bleak, sad one, because we already live in a pretty bleak, sad one. It's a challenge to envision a world that's better, but that's discouraged by, the capitalist system that wants to maintain itself. Keep in mind, I'm not even a communist. This is all just like fucking common sense to me, and I don't know how other people don't recognize it, that like AI art is the most capitalist fucking thing ever. And it's embarrassing. The only AI art that I've seen on display in any public setting was in a gallery. I won't say which gallery, but it was very embarrassing to look at. And after looking at it, I don't really consider AI art much of a threat anymore. The installation was here's how Harry Potter would be if it was full of trans characters. And it's not to say that the idea of that is bad, but the installation was entirely shit created with Midjourney. And I think this does a disservice to the trans community. I think it does a disservice to, you know, non-binary or trans ideology. The representation in a gallery is represented by Midjourney produced Harry Potter fan art. Like, not only are you plagiarizing an intellectual property, but you're creating shit with AI, and that's pathetic. And it just gives the whole thing a bad look by association. The placard near these paintings, it looked terrible. It's like these smudgy-faced, I guess, Harry Potter characters, except they're like trans and they're not characters from Harry Potter. Like, obviously Midjourney or whatever can't produce like Ron Weasley but trans or whatever. It just creates like a Harry Potter looking-ish person who's trans. The idea of this installation was, oh, I liked Harry Potter, but then J.K. Rowling turned out to be a transphobe. So now I'm going to create trans Harry Potter characters with Midjourney. This doesn't look good. This looks bad. It makes J.K. Rowling look good to create AI art on Midjourney. Because you know what J.K. Rowling did? She wrote a fucking book. And if all you can do is create AI art on Midjourney, that's not really expressing yourself in any meaningful way. Here's an idea. If you're trans and you dislike that J.K. Rowling is a bigot or a hateful transphobe or whatever, you hate J.K. Rowling. Write your own fucking fantasy series that's better than Harry Potter. It's not even hard to do. Harry Potter is pretty ass to begin with compared to, like, better fantasy, you know, like Lord of the Rings or whatever. Like, if Lord of the Rings is like the unattainable high standard, Harry Potter's pretty fucking low. So you could create a pretty decent tome in the middle if you just applied yourself and gave a shit. And you could put trans characters in that fantasy setting. You could push for positive change. You could create the change in media that you're going for. If you want more trans characters in fiction, write a piece of fiction that is better than whatever the cisgender writers are putting out. It's not hard to make a book that's better than Harry Potter. Furthermore, if you used to be a fan of Harry Potter, and then you find out that J.K. Rowling is this regressive British transphobe who, you know, thinks like fucking Miss Marple. Here's an idea. Read some shit by, like The Female Man or something from the 1970s. Read some actual gender-bending fiction that's actually fucking interesting, and stop being a fan of Harry fucking Potter. Like, read some shit. Seriously. Read Ursula K. Le Guin. It's not hard. These authors are out there. Feminist authors, trans authors. There's a world of literature that you could enjoy, and there's a world of painters that you could enjoy. You don't have to use Midjourney AI to make shitty Harry Potter fan art that looks like crap. That only makes J.K. Rowling look good by contrast, because at the very least, she hasn't resorted to AI. Or maybe she will fucking next week, because she's a hack with no integrity. But my point stands. At the very least, she's a hack with no integrity who fucking picked up a pencil one time. She plagiarized lots of her ideas, sure, and the books are ass, but you can do better. You can do better than that. I've done better than that. I've written material better than anything J.K. Rowling's ever written, and it's just because I give a shit. So that was kind of embarrassing and disheartening to see some AI art on display in a gallery. But it was so bad it was taken down in like less than a week, because, you know, probably someone complained about what a fucking eyesore it was and how embarrassing it was, you know, probably to the trans community to see this disgraceful spectacle out in public. Like, yeah, let's keep being fans of this supposedly bigoted, hateful franchise that perpetuates all this anti-Semitism and fucking racism, and, you know, there's a whole slave race in the books. Like, just make a better fucking story. You can do it. Make a better fantasy series. Do it. Go out. Try. It's like my whole generation is just, like, incompetent, and I don't like the incompetence. I don't like people who aren't able to come up with new and interesting ideas. But so long as I'm able to come up with new and interesting ideas, I'm having a fucking blast over here. Just asserting my dominance over my peers in the creative field who have yet to create their own pulp sci-fi magazine, you know. I'm immensely proud of Ludicrous Worlds. I don't think I've mentioned it in any videos before, but some damn good stuff in here, and I'm very proud of it. It's a fun time. So, you should start your own pulp sci-fi magazine. And don't worry if it's not profitable or whatever. Good art shouldn't be profitable. Good art should be thought-provoking and challenging and enriching. It should be enriching for the soul. I don't even necessarily believe there is such a thing as a soul. I don't put my faith in technology or God. I put my faith in raw human potential because ultimately, in addition to being an atheist, I'm a secular humanist. I have to believe in human potential. And I don't put my faith in a robot. That's fucking stupid and naive, and it'll only backfire. I should reassert this. AI is not a technology that will be remembered fondly by future generations. Let me put it like that. People tend to think of technology only as beneficial, but there's lots of technology that's been created throughout history that is extremely destructive and shit. Like Agent Orange, for instance, which was deployed during the Vietnam War. That's undoubtedly a type of human technology, but it was just used to kill people, so whoever invented it probably shouldn't be very proud of their invention. And I would say the same to the Silicon Valley developers who created, the science college types who actually put time and effort into creating this garbage rather than enriching themselves through the arts and literature. You will not be remembered fondly. You will be remembered as the deployers of Agent Orange. You will not be remembered as pioneers, innovators. You'll be remembered even less favorably than someone like Oppenheimer who invented the atom bomb. Agent Orange doesn't explode and it's all cool like the atom bomb. It just settles down and chokes you out and then you're dead. And it's a real atrocity. I mean, go look into it if you think science is so great, but I guarantee there's not a single piece of art that's ever been made that's as detrimental and terrible as Agent Orange. That's what I'd compare artificial intelligence to. It's a terrible piece of technology that only has negative consequences down the line and no positive benefit. The only people who use it are lazy or incompetent and unable to come up with original ideas of their own, which do exist, and if anyone tells you otherwise, then they're a capitalist shill who's attempting to discredit you and discourage meaningful human labor. AI is basically Agent Orange. So it doesn't scare me anymore because Agent Orange was banned and regulated, and I think AI is going to be if the human race is going to survive. And considering that I'm a secular humanist ultimately, and I can only place my faith in human potential and the human will to survive, I have to trust that we'll make the best choices for ourselves and we'll burn all this AI shit to the ground, and then we can get on with what really matters. Like science fiction pulp magazines. This is the good shit. And this is what I'm going to devote the rest of my life to, whether anyone encourages me to or not. I don't really care. I'm going to do what I like, and you can piss off with your AI shit. You can use it if you want, but it's embarrassing and sad and pathetic. And I have no qualms with expressing my moral and ethical problems with it, and just stating up front that using AI to create art is an extremely unethical, disgusting, grotesque thing to do, and it makes me sad whenever I see it. And yeah, it's probably going to slow down here soon. Anyway, I'm not scared anymore after seeing that fucking Harry Potter fan art shit. That was funny. That was a joke. Man. I drew this bird guy. I mean, look at him. He's fucking cool. He has a tail and shit. Gosh. Yeah, AI isn't doing him. No siree. No fucking way.